Welcome to Under the Sheets with Tatiana Ashbourne and friends, brought to you by Dirty Talk. I'm Tatiana Ashbourne, and this is my friend. This is Sophie, everybody! Welcome to Under the Sheets with me, Tatiana Ashbourne, and all my friends. Laugh about it. Give it to me, baby. Learn about it. Love it or hate it. Let's do it. Under the Sheets with Tatiana Ashbourne and friends. Coming up in this episode,
we will be sat in Gales working, and we will have prostate massages, dildos, cock rings on our screen, and we're so numb to it that we have mums sitting around having their coffees. Or
stay tuned to see what's under the sheets. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for inviting me to your bed.
Oh, you're so welcome. I love it. Straight in a bed. What more do you want?
One of the better propositions I've had in my life, I would say.
How are you feeling? Are you nervous? Are you excited?
I'm excited. I love it here. I thought your last guest was amazing as well. So I'm just having such a good day.
Oh, I appreciate it. Yeah, very good. I'm so pleased to have you down. So obviously the reason I have you down is because we are very similar that we talk about sex a lot.
We do.
And I see so much stuff about you. So you have a business called Our Guilty Pleasures.
I do.
Talk to me about that. So what made you start it? What is it?
Okay, so Our Guilty Pleasures, it's a sex toy business and soon-to-be couples card game.
Okay.
With, the main goal is to empower relationships through open conversations such as this, to normalise it, in just a really light-hearted, fun, silly way. Because I think growing up, I always had this perspective that sex was so intense and I had to be hypersexual or something like that.
Yeah.
It turns out you don't have to be, and you can just be silly and fun. So we're just trying to open that up and really allow couples to talk to each other. Just open the conversation and just really grow on their connection and intimacy.
That's amazing. And have you always had an open conversation about sex and relationships, like with your family growing up, going into your first few relationships? I would say that
I have I'd say it's semi-open, but I probably had quite a normal relationship with my family speaking about sex, as in the fact that it wasn't completely taboo, but you probably didn't do it.
Okay.
You didn't overly speak and you didn't overly share, but it was also, there was no shame in it whatsoever.
Yeah.
And, first times, things like that, there was no issue with me telling my mum about it. She took me straight to get the pill, things like that. So it was all very, open in that respect. What was less great was, I'm sure, being a woman yourself is sex education growing up is just, it's shocking.
Yeah.
And apart from knowing about STI prevention and how to not get pregnant, that was it. That's all I learned about sex education. I didn't know anything about pleasure. I didn't know about, especially female pleasure. That was such a hushed conversation at school. So it took me a long time for me to start learning more about that. And then the more I started to learn about it, the more I wanted to speak about it.
Yeah.
And then me and my friends started speaking about it. And it really just kind of carried on from there.
Carried on.
And the conversation kept going. And then Our Guilty Pleasures kind of came around, which is great.
That's amazing. And so it's a company with your boyfriend.
It is. Yeah.
And how did that conversation go? Were you straight in it? You were like, let's talk about sex, or is it, or has it been more thinking, oh God, I've got this idea, want to do it, or was it a joint idea? How did it happen?
So, great question. So, we was a bit cheeky and we met at work.
Okay.
So we both worked at a tech startup. So we really understood the way that each other worked anyway, and we wanted to start a business together. And when we met each other, there was kind of an instant thing there, and we just kind of got together quite quickly, and we knew we wanted to start a business. So there was that aspect. We both love working from the ground up. We love really owning something, building something, having a say. And then on the sex side of things, it was just fun. It was just so exciting, and it was such a fun topic. And then the more we started to research it, and we spent months and months and months trying researching it, the more passionate we got about it, and the more like we just couldn't stop reading into it and learning about the industry. Mainly because it's still such a taboo topic. People still don't like talking about it. Bed Bible did a big survey in America, and 73% of people still find talking about sex toys this really taboo topic.
Wow.
And Paired app, which is a really amazing app for relationships, they did a survey, and 2 in 5 people in relationships find it really uncomfortable talking to their partner about sex. And that's 2 in 5. That's what, 40% of people.
Yeah.
Which just didn't seem right. And I think a huge part of that is there's sex everywhere, but there's this massive expectation from sex. There's so much pressure around sex. So yeah, just really like trying to normalize that conversation and just, yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. And what would you say, in your opinion, is your favourite sex toy?
Oh, what a great question. Suction toys, I think.
Okay.
Or remote controls. So the way that, another way the business actually started is my boyfriend and I, we were on holiday.
Okay.
And we was in Lisbon, and we was just having like just a really good night. When you're just you're having a great day. It's all just going really good. And we was just bar hopping. There was a lot of wine going on, and we saw this little sex shop. And we went in the sex shop, and we thought it was hilarious because who doesn't go into a sex shop and find it really funny?
So true.
So true. And we was in there, and we thought, I know, it'd be really funny to buy this remote control sex toy.
Yeah.
And so for the rest of the night, I wore this remote control sex toy, and you put it in your underwear, and he had the remote.
Yeah.
And that was a real like switching point because it was so much fun. Like it was funny. And we were just laughing the whole time. And this intimacy wasn't created from being hypersexual and acting like a porn star. It came from actually just laughing together.
Yeah.
And it was that night that we were like, maybe we should do this for a living. Maybe this is it. And that really just changed my brain chemistry on how to view sex. So I would say my fave, if there could only be one, and it applies to you, I would say a remote control vibrator. I think it's just so much fun, and it's such a great introduction into it. And
so that means that I can have the remote, and it's in you, and we can be in any location.
Yeah, I've got it on now, actually.
Oh my god, I actually thought you were going to. I was like, no way. No, that's so cool. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Or if you're in a long distance relationship, you can do an app controlled.
No.
One. So you can control on the app, and that's a way of being intimate with your partner. Or you're still on other sides of the world, and if you're close and you're in bed, you can use the
Well, why wouldn't everyone do that?
Because people don't talk about it,
and I didn't know about that one.
And I think that goes back to talking about sex toys, talking about intimacy. It's so hypersexual all the time, and the playfulness of it has been taken out.
Yeah.
And then back to your other favorite sex toy question, I would also say suction toys, because I think for if it's applicable to you, it's just great. Like it's basically, it simulates like oral sex. Basically.
Yeah.
And when only 18% of women can orgasm through penetration, those kind of things are necessary.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is a very small number.
It's small, isn't it? It really surprised me when I found out as well.
And so you reckon that if many women get these toys, that's probably more likely that they'd orgasm from that, basically?
Yeah, so 18% need like clitoral stimulation in order to reach orgasm.
God.
Yeah.
Wow. And has sex always been fun for you? Or has it been a struggle? Has it been
I think most people, like, sex can be quite
okay.
And I think sex can be so many things, and there's so many emotions tied to it. So it can be amazing, it can be mind-blowing, it can be so short, it can be really long. So I think I've gone through the entire spectrum, and now that I think you also have to be open to learning about sex and learning about your partner, and also relearning about your partner. What they liked a year ago might not be what they like now. So putting yourself out there and opening conversations with each other, not just once, not just on your first date.
Yeah.
Like, have the conversation again 6 months later or a few weeks later, and just keep on relearning. And that's how you get good in bed, and that's how your partner gets good in bed, and that's how you have really good sex together.
Yeah. Do you think always the first time of having sex, not your first time, but as in the first time with a new person, do you think that will always be probably bad compared to the next times you have sex? Because I've heard from people it's like the third time you have sex with someone, that's the best time.
Is that
or
a
like,
thing?
so I don't know whether that's true, but I definitely think, because obviously one, you're probably nervous, probably shocked because you're not quite sure what they're into, and then you obviously learn it, you know.
I think it's different for everyone.
Yeah.
There's something quite, like, for many people it's really liberating to have sex with someone they not barely know, but barely know because there's no expectations, that you're not putting pressure on yourself to impress someone if you don't really overly care about them. That said, for me personally, I need to have like a emotional connection in order to enjoy sex. But that isn't the same for everyone. So but yeah, for me personally, it takes me time and getting to know somebody and really learning about them and having that emotional side. That's what makes sex good to me. Sex starts for me so prior to the time that you think about sex starting, because sex isn't just penetration. It's the whole day, it's the whole foreplay, it's the whole build up. That's what makes sex really great.
Yeah, that's really nice. And you're saying that sex education was really bad when you were younger. What would you say that is needed in sex education for it to actually have been good?
Pleasure education. I think there's nothing there to talk to women and men really about pleasure and how important pleasure is. Learning about consent, learning about the emotional side of sex and that exchange of energy. And just because you may physically be ready for sex, are you emotionally ready? Do you understand the implications? Are you going to feel shame after having sex? You shouldn't feel shame after having sex, and if you are, there's a narrative that needs shifting for you personally.
No, definitely.
And I think by not talking about pleasure and not teaching pleasure at school, I think it's so dangerous. I think a lack of pleasure education by default means that there isn't a consent education. There's not learning how to actually manage your own pleasure. Manage your desires, and I think that's quite a dangerous thing. So I think, for me personally, I think sex education really needs to be revamped.
Definitely.
It needs a little revamp.
And also I was going to say that regarding sex education, I don't think I ever learned about a sex toy.
No, I never learned about female orgasm. I learned about male orgasm.
I never ever knew that it would happen to girls.
No, neither did I.
And with a dildo, I thought the only use of that was to practice how to put on a condom. I didn't realise there were actually that you can use that. You know, I literally just thought that's how you did it.
Yeah, exactly. Everything is so focused on a penis. And, you know, I remember being at school and being given... Actually, looking back at this, I remember being at school and putting on drunk goggles, and you had to, in front of everybody, go over to a banana and put on a condom. What that's teaching you is that when you are that drunk, that's not consent. And there is a massive error here, and this would have been 10 years ago for me. But
oh my goodness! I didn't know that they would do that.
Yeah, drunk goggles in front of everybody. To have drunk goggles. That was what we was taught, and we were taught. Yeah, it was just always about.
So that's probably what you thought when your first time you'll be drunk. You know, and
for
stuff
a long
like that.
For a long time, I think most girls think that you've probably had a drink. So yeah, there needs a massive update, and that's why I think things like this, like what you're doing and what we're doing, really opening the conversation up. This is why we need to have the conversation as young adults, because most young adults haven't had the right education. That's why there's so much trauma still around sex.
Wow, oh my goodness. And you bought an item from your room today that makes your bedroom your bedroom.
I did.
Can I have a look at it, please?
Of course. So my item is also a little gift for you, because I have...
Oh, you're so sweet.
I have a strong belief that every girl's room should have a suction toy.
Oh my god, that's amazing. That's so cool, right?
And it's completely flat, which means you can use it with other people too.
If you're
way inclined. But yeah, and it's a great starter one as well. I didn't want to I didn't want to scare you too much.
Am I allowed to open it and look at what it's like?
Oh, we need some batteries in it.
Oh, okay.
Do you need the batteries?
Oh my goodness, that's so cool. So this bit goes...
Yeah.
This bit goes on your labia.
On your clit.
On your... I've never used one, I don't know what it does.
So that goes on your clit.
Yeah.
And then there's 10 different settings, and then it's little...
10 different settings?
Yeah, but, I mean, so the first 3 is the consistent pulsing, so it's like pulse, pulse, pulse. And then that gets stronger. And then you have, like, you know the freestyle ones that are like... Which I'm not really sure, I don't know. None of my friends use these settings, so I don't know. But it's basically pulsing, and it gives the feeling of oral sex.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, so there's like little pulsing motions instead of it being a traditional vibrator, which is very it can be more intense for some people. Yeah. So oh
my goodness, this is amazing! I did not expect to get a gift. This is great. Right, you can leave now. No, I'm gonna test it out. Oh my god, how cool! So, what's your favourite setting? You're about to go straight in there, so then you realise I'd asked you.
Oh, I'm going to have to keep this very private. Okay, my favourite setting is I like the first 3. They're mine. I'm a consistency kind of girl. It's like, you know, you see those TikToks, and it's like, I can't think what comedian said it, and she was like, what is it about men? You tell them you're about to come, and all of a sudden it's like, just keep the rhythm going, just keep going. You just need something consistent, and all of a sudden they freak out.
Yeah, they start. Oh my god, that's so true.
So to me, like those like freestyling settings is a man freaking out. So yeah, 1, 2, and 3.
It's just
consistent.
Constant. Yeah. Because I feel like it's when you say, right, it's about to happen, and then
panic.
And then it's like, oh well, this is working, so I'm going to do this faster. And I'm thinking, no, the reason I'm about to come is because the last one was great.
Exactly,
you know?
You're doing it right. You don't need to panic. Just calm down.
Oh, I'm so excited. I can't believe it. This is so cool. Thank you.
You are so welcome.
Oh my gosh, this is incredible. This is my first one.
Is it your first sex toy?
Yeah.
I'm so excited for you. It's honestly, there is a whole world out there with sex toys. I'm so excited for you.
Oh my god, this is so cool. Oh, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
This is lovely. So talk to me about, you have obviously just started this business, and I've been seeing your street interviews.
Yeah.
How's that going, talking to other people? How do you find it?
So much fun. Mm-hmm. So there's myself, and there's also our other interviewer, Ben, and we go out together, and we interview the public about their sex lives. It's so much fun. The thing that really stuck out to me with it is how many people are so comfortable and really want to talk about sex if you actually give them a space to do it.
Okay.
And we had a couple of videos that really blew up, and interestingly, the reason that they did is because the guy's reaction, it was very quick, and it was, what's your guilty pleasure in the bedroom? And he said, getting a finger up my bum. And it just went, share. But because the conversation in the comments was, finally, a man's actually admitted this, or like a straight man has admitted this. Because it's like men have only just discovered the prostate and realizing you don't need to, this is not a sign of your sexuality. It's not, you don't need to be gay in order to enjoy that. And just the conversation there, it was just so big, and I think that happened really early on as well, and that really gave us like the momentum to really keep going and to continue the conversation and ask people, what is your guilty pleasure in the bedroom, and not be ashamed of it. So, and just again making it not this hypersexual thing, but just this very open, fun dialogue.
Yeah, definitely. And do you have a hope in the future that one day everyone will feel comfortable talking about it, or do you think that there should be a level of privacy within a relationship and what you're prepared to say, if that makes sense?
Oh, great question. I think ideally sex will be a very open conversation. However, part of being in a relationship is respecting each other's boundaries and having intimate moments and having stories that are just yours, I also think is the foundations of your relationship.
Yeah.
And there should be things that you keep private, especially if you've had a conversation. And what the street interviews are really about is trying to promote open conversation, but more with your partner and more in a couple. And I think the main stat that we're really going on is that the fact that 2 in 5 people can't talk to their partners. We want people to talk to their partners. We want people to be able to say what their desires are and how they change, or what they're uncomfortable with. I think that's a huge part as well.
Yeah.
Actually communicating when you're uncomfortable, and when you want to stop, and that should be it. So yeah, I think a certain level of privacy is still a good thing.
Yeah, I feel like it's quite... when I interviewed my grandma, and she was saying that...
Such a level of privacy. But your brother's been here, your grandma's been in the bed.
No, but I was asking her about, like, romance, and has romance gone? And I do feel like a level of... I mean, here I am, nattering away about sex. But I do think there's a level of, like, romance that it's quite nice to not necessarily talk much about it at the same time, because it's like there's still the level of what's going to happen, what's not going to happen. Do you know what I mean? And to have that excitement towards sex.
I agree.
Whereas if we're so blasé about it, then maybe we won't have that level of excitement towards it, if that makes sense.
I completely agree, and I think being able to, but part of sex education should be actually how to read someone's body language.
Yeah.
And read, like, have a certain level of emotional intelligence and how to improve sex in that way. So there's conversations, but there's also having conversations about how to just read your own body and how to read body language. But yeah, I think I'm a bit like you. I'm a very hopeless romantic, to be completely honest. So for me, sex is all about communication, foreplay, and then what happens at the end is actually just that cherry on top. Without all the
pressure and the
sex is so much more than penetration.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah. And what do you love most about your body?
Oh, okay.
Really deep.
What do I love about my body? It's really not good that I don't answer this quick enough.
Or is there something that you wear, or like at what point do you feel the most sexy?
I feel most confident when I feel most sexy when I'm confident.
Okay.
But not confident in a, putting yourself out there in a ridiculous, like for the benefit of others, and not dressing in a way that's there to please men, but dressing in a way that I feel like I look good. Like I want to be able to turn myself on, and I think I think when you can do that, when you look in a mirror and you're like, yeah, you look great, and like I feel good, I think that's where you want to get to, when you're not seeking validation from other people.
Yeah,
you just
definitely.
feel confident within, and usually that comes from just doing the things that you love doing.
Yeah. And do you think that's taken time for you, or have you always had have you always felt validated within yourself, or have you only felt validation from others?
I think like most people, it goes in and out. Like it's a constant, your relationship with yourself is the biggest relationship that you'll have with anybody. Yeah. So you have to constantly work on it, and you can be your best friend at times, or that it can get a little bit toxic, and I think that's fine as long as you're working on it. So I don't want to be egotistical and say I've always had this amazing relationship with myself, because it's actually it's not true. But I very actively work on my relationship with myself. No, definitely. And it's a real goal of mine to have a good relationship with myself. So I would say that I've always worked on it, but it's ever changing.
Which I'm sure it will, probably for everyone, it will always constantly change, And back to your business, but regardless about the fact that it's to do with sex toys, going into a business with your boyfriend, for everyone else that's thinking about going into a business with their boyfriend, how has that been? Is it stress? Is it, does it work? Talk to me about that.
Okay, really good question. So, going into business with your boyfriend, you need to set boundaries.
Okay.
So it does work, but we have worked together before. We understand how each other work. There's definitely been moments where we have sat down and we've really had to have a conversation with how to handle working together, because first and foremost, he's my partner. We live together, so we spend a lot of time with each other, and that relationship is the most, really, that's the most important. And when that relationship is good, our business relationship will be good. And the advice that I would give in order to do that: don't work around each other too often. So we have completely different mornings. Okay. When we are working, we are working. He goes one place, I go another place. We speak to each other through Notion. We speak to each other through a separate WhatsApp chat that we have. That's our go-to pleasures. So and it's business is business. And the way that we speak to each other is different as well. Yeah. And we're very clear when we're speaking to each other. It's like, am I your girlfriend talking, or am I your business partner talking? Because they will talk to each other differently. Yeah. And that's worked really well for us. Especially for him, when he understood. There was a few times where I've been speaking in the past. This was very early on. Yeah. And he'd be like, I feel like you're mad. I feel like you're being harsh. I'm like, no, I'm just talking. Like, there's nothing soft there. Yeah. We're talking like business to business. And once we really understood that, it's now just two people working in business, really going for it. Yeah. And like really thriving with working together as well. And I think we have a very well balanced relationship in that sense. Yeah. And then we prioritize having time together as a boyfriend and a girlfriend. Say for example we go on a date or something like that, and we'll say like be my girlfriend, be my boyfriend. Yeah. And then the next day we go back to being business partners. So I treat them and he treats them as two very separate relationships, and we look after each of them very differently. Yeah. Yeah. And what is the most romantic date you've been on? Ooh, okay. Most romantic dates. It's hard to say, because again I feel like romance is all those little gestures. Yeah. So it's not just about going to a fancy restaurant, or going to like a nice bar afterwards. Like all that stuff's, I wouldn't say no. I think that's great. But it's about actually giving someone your undivided attention, not being on your phone. And I'd say that the most romantic dates I've been on have been with my boyfriend, because he gives me undivided attention. Yeah. And he really understands. He really understands like my needs, and he knows how to. I love the way that he shows his love for me. Yeah. So for me, the most romantic things are often in those like the tiny little things that he does. Okay. Every day, to be completely honest. That's really sweet. What's your most romantic date? God, this is so bad. Most romantic date. Oh, you put me on the spot now. It's hard to think of dates, isn't it? It's like so difficult. But I'm thinking I've only ever been on So I had a boyfriend for 2 years. And when you're going out, you feel like it's not really. It doesn't feel like you're going on dates, you know. And I've only ever been on. Oh, this is so bad. I've only ever been on one other date. That's okay. So I feel like I don't really have a good dating experience. Oh, you should date. It's fun. It's fun to date. Yeah. And what about you? Did you date around? Like, did you date? Did I get around? No. But like, did you go on many dates before you found your boyfriend, who is supposedly the one? Or were you very much like, you're not looking for date, you're trying to find the person? I did date. But I dated with the intention of meeting people. Yeah. And I thought it was, it's fun to date. It's fun to get to know people, and you start to learn so much about yourself, because usually you'll meet someone and think they should be good, but I'm not attracted to this. I'm not drawn to this. There's something here that's not quite working. Yeah. So I think you learn so much about yourself through dating. So I wouldn't ever knock dating. I think it's, I think it's great, and I think it's a really good self-discovery. Yeah, it's so true. Yeah. And so I did date. But when I sound like such a sap, but when I met my boyfriend, it's just the dates get better. Yeah, no, it is true. And what is the biggest red flag? Oh, okay. Biggest red flag. Any type of misogynist language is just a no. Someone who's closed-minded. I don't really have too many like materialistic red flags. Yeah. but really it's just the way that somebody conducts themselves, the language they're using. And I think that the best way to know if you're seeing somebody, especially, so I'm speaking from the perspective of like a woman seeing a man here, that if you are not happy with your son growing up to be that guy that you are dating, he's not it. Like he's not the one. Listen to how this guy on a date talks about his mum. Listen to how he talks about his sister. Listen to how he talks about waitresses. Listen to how he talks about women. And if he is putting these women down, he will eventually put you down as well. That to me that's the tell. Like listen to how he's speaking and listen to his language. And that will tell you everything you need to know.
Definitely. What is love? What is the love language? Is there a specific language that you're like, that works for me?
I'm physical touch.
Okay.
That's why I'm playing footsies with you underneath the covers right now.
I thought I felt something.
No, I'm physical touch. That's the way that I show affection is by like little touches, and that would be the first thing I notice. If there isn't that physical, that touch happening, I'd think, oh, maybe something's wrong. And even with my friends when I was at uni, we'd sit on the sofa and they'd tell me, you always have to be touching us. Like your foot always has to just kind of be stretched out and on a lap. And it's like I didn't realise it until after, but it is. It's just I'm a very touchy person.
Then what's the difference between your touch when you're on a date and flirting with someone and your touch when you're with your friends?
It's pretty similar, to be honest.
Okay.
It's pretty similar. I think you could tell. I will show affection through touch, and I think that comes out in different ways. But again, I like all of them. So I think quality time super important. I'm probably not as prone to gifts, but again, then I'm not going to say no. I think that's also great. And acts of service, again, that those little things that you do throughout the day is worth so much more, and that's what life is about. Like life is all those little moments that are happening throughout the day, not every big gesture, because those big gestures might happen, a couple of times a year maybe. But what's happening every single day is that's what makes up your life, right? So that to me is so much more important.
No, definitely. I read somewhere being like, love isn't buying you something, it's saying, oh, I hope you're wearing your seatbelt, or like, do you know what I mean, like when you go to the car or say drive safe, do you know what I mean? And those little things are like the way of actually that you're showing love, you know. And it was more like what your parents say to you when you actually despise them at that point, and they're actually saying, not that I would despise you, but it's in, and they say, where the only thing I can think of now is wear your seatbelt. Not that you've ever said that, but
text me when you're home.
Oh yeah, there we go. There you go.
Yeah, it's all those.
It's those little things that actually that's what they mean by when they're giving you love.
Exactly. Like you've got something on your face, they move it. All those little cute things. I'm such a wet wipe, and I'm gonna cringe so much watching this back. But it's all those little things.
So, in your opinion, can a relationship be boring?
Yeah.
In what sense?
A relationship can be boring if you're not willing to learn.
Okay.
If you have learned everything you need to know about a person within the first year, first 2 years, first 5 years, first 10 years, like you need to keep learning and keep relearning your partner. Otherwise there's going to start to be distance between you. You're not going to know how your partner wants to receive love. You're going to stop growing with each other. So to me, a relationship gets boring when you stop learning, and you stop doing like discovering things together, doing fun things together, learning new things together, doing acts of service together, just something that really just joins the two of you together. I think that's when I would personally get bored in a relationship. If my boyfriend stopped trying to learn who I was, I would get bored. Yeah,
also if they can, like, you want them to continue to try to impress you.
Yeah.
When you first start dating and you want someone, you're trying to put your best self forward, and dress nicely to go out and do this because you're trying to impress them. I suppose it's like continuing the dating.
Really, you should be dating more. Like, I feel like when you're together and you love someone, that's when you should be dating more. And I feel like I'm still fairly, I'm not I haven't been married, I haven't been engaged,
Yeah.
I haven't been in, a really, really long-term relationship, meaning like over 5 years, for example. But just, from my perspective, that would be, just continue to learn. Just continue to learn, continue to date, continue to just be kind to each other, speak kindly to each other, speak kindly about each other to other people, just, and when you do mess up, which we all mess up, like we all make mistakes, we all speak to each other badly, we do things you really shouldn't do, fix it, apologize and work through it, and hold your hands up and take accountability for it. So yeah.
Oh, beautiful. And when you started to have this idea and started the business of, okay, we're looking into sex toys, tell me the conversation you had with your family to say, I've quit my job, I'm going for this. What was that like?
So funny enough, so when so we started it, we like I mentioned earlier, we both worked at a tech startup.
Yeah.
And then we got drunk one night in Lisbon and we was like, oh, we should do this for a living, and we both knew that we were enjoying our job-ish, but there was something missing. We weren't feeling fulfilled. It paid, and we loved that.
Yeah.
But there was something really missing. And then a few months after, the company went into liquidation, just like so many other tech companies went into liquidation. And we were like, okay, so let's start this. And then as we started it, I spoke to I mentioned it to my mum and my brother, and they thought it was great. But we've always, we do have a very open relationship about those kind of things, especially now being an adult. And I lived with my brother as an adult for 3 years, and his girlfriend moved in during COVID. So we all lived together. So all your barriers have to go.
Yeah.
So it just wasn't a problem. And my grandparents, on the other hand, they do find it uncomfortable, but if you really speak to them, they don't. They actually think it's quite cool.
Yeah.
When they've had a few drinks, and then they start saying, "Oh, my granddaughter actually does this," and they sit around the table, gawping at the website, going, "Whoa!" And
That's me even now.
And it's like, "Oh yeah, but you don't like it." And they're like, "No, what does that bit do? Where does that go?"
Yeah.
But I think this is all part of sex toys being taboo, and once that taboo goes, everyone is open to it. Like now, nobody in my family, none of my friends find it a strange topic, because it's been like the taboo's just gone, and it's an everyday conversation again. So yeah.
Yeah. And now with your brother, can you have like open talk? Would you go to him for advice? Would you, or is it?
Yeah, I would. Like he's a very open person, and like he's my best friend. So I wouldn't feel ashamed asking him anything.
And what's the most unexpected thing that you've learnt about working in the sex toy industry?
Ooh, I would say, not to get too deep, how differently I would get treated in this industry compared to a man.
Okay.
So, for example, when myself and Ben, the other guy that's in the interviews, when we go out together, the dynamic when we're speaking to people, not from the people we're interviewing. The people we interview are brilliant people; they're wonderful.
Yeah.
But from the people that are observing, act differently to how it's treated if I was to go out with another girl and conduct interviews. People, when it's me and another girl, people stand extremely close. They open up conversations that are just not appropriate, because we're not asking, we're not interviewing them. They'll stand right next to us or touch us. That's there as we're recording.
Yeah.
The only other time that I went out with a girl, we nearly got mugged. It was just a lot more intense, and I think I've had both now a fair amount of times to see that there is a difference with how people perceive it as an industry. And I think being a woman, it's very hard to not be sexualized when you are in a sex toy business, and that's the topic that you're speaking about. It's much easier for Lewis, my business partner, my business partner and my boyfriend, to speak about sex toys in a business sense, and people are much more inclined to continue the conversation in a business sense and see it as a great business venture.
Yeah.
So that would be the most shocking. And then to play on that as well, also how difficult it is to market sex toys, how much taboo there still is. And a great example is with Meta, which is Facebook and Instagram. Yeah. You cannot put ads behind pleasure. It's just not allowed. Sex toys are banned. What's not banned is promoting anything to help with premature ejaculation. Viagra is fine. So there's a loophole with speaking about a man's orgasm.
Yeah.
There's no loophole with a female orgasm because pleasure is banned and pleasure is not seen as sexual health, and they're very clear about that.
Yeah.
So pleasure is not seen within the realm of sexual health, and therefore you can't promote it. And when a female orgasm exists solely for pleasure, you've been checkmated a bit there. So yeah, that surprised me a lot because it seems very old fashioned. In my opinion, it seems quite archaic. But hopefully that will change fairly soon. And talking about pleasure and sex education in a way that isn't just about STIs and pregnancy prevention will become normalised. And these kind of conversations that we're having will become normalised again. And
definitely.
We can start educating in a more progressive way.
Yeah. And are your sex toys for both men and women?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
They are. I think there's a massive taboo with thinking that men don't use sex toys, and they do, only slightly less than women. Again, like Bed Bible did a huge survey in the US, and 86% of women own at least one sex toy, and 73% of men. Or 75% of men own a sex toy. There's a very high percentage. However, 1 in 8 only 1 in 8 admit to it.
No way.
Yeah. So women are more open about talking about owning sex toys. Yeah. Men still find it quite uncomfortable or taboo.
But am I right in thinking there's less sex toys for men?
So there's quite a few for men. There's a lot for men. There's prostate massages.
There's going to be so much I haven't heard of before.
Yeah, and there's cock rings, there's masturbation cups. There's so many that do exist for men, and there's so many that exist for like men and women, so that you can enjoy it together, or men and men together, women and women together. There's so many sex toys, and they all serve a completely different purpose. Yeah, which is what's good. Like it's such a huge. There's so many to choose from. And like on our website, for example, we want it to, whoever you are, to be able to find something that really suits your own needs and desires, which is why we have the sex toy quiz on there. So you can answer the questions and then you just get an instant recommendation on what's good for you. But yeah, there are slightly more sex toys for women. Yeah. But there's so many to be discovered for men as well.
Oh wow! And what's on your sex playlist? Do you have a specific song? Because you're into your music.
I've actually never had a sex playlist, which is probably really bad.
But if you were to have one song that could be played in the background of having sex, have you ever listened to music whilst you have sex? Do a lot of people do that? I don't know whether that's what people do.
I get really anxious listening to music during sex because when. If you have a playlist on, you never really know what song's going to come up, or when a song finishes. When a song finishes, I'm like, okay, what's the next thing? And then there's that awkward gap, and then there's a new tempo, and then I feel like you're meant to go with the tempo, and I just don't.
It sounds like genuine sex, doesn't it?
It stresses me out. So I would say. I was going to say something, but I won't.
Oh, no, you can't. You have to.
I think I'd have your brother's music on. I wouldn't. Yeah. That's so funny. Yeah. No, I probably would have no music, or it would be instrumental music. It would be like electronic. Like if I would like to imagine I was at a festival.
Okay. Yeah.
No lyrics. Like I just need music and a constant rhythm, please.
That's so funny. How do you think having this sex toy business has made your... Hang on, I got to word it right. How do you think it makes your relationship seem to other people?
That's such a good question. I've never thought about it. I would assume people think we're very sexually open. Mm-hmm. They probably think we're having sex all the time. Which isn't complete, like, I mean, you know, I'll just skip past that whole thing. But yeah, I'm assuming they probably think we're very hypersexual people, where it's more that we've found an industry that we actually are really passionate about and that we find really interesting. Probably think that we test out every single thing, which you can't possibly test out every single thing. Yeah. Obviously, there does need some testing. But yeah, probably that we're just constantly at it, which isn't totally true. But funny enough, we just got featured in Cosmo, and it's talking about different sex positions. And the sex position that we came up with and suggested was about having sex in like an office chair. There's something so fun about that. And now thinking back to it, I'm like, oh, I've sent this to my family, like, oh, look, just got featured in Cosmo, and they're reading it, and it's like, Sophie suggests having sex in an office chair, and it's like, oh. So, and I'm thinking, if any employer in future, say I ever interview for a job, Googles my name and it says, Sophie suggests having sex in an office chair. So brilliant. I've just kind of shot myself in the foot there.
But what kind of office chair? Is this
the swivel ones?
The swivel ones. So, but is it on wheels though?
Yeah, so as well. Because it's for autumn, so it becomes a cinnamon swirl.
Oh.
So it spins.
Very, very good. Yeah. Love it. Although I feel a bit sick, I reckon, if I kept going around it. So good. We're going to go to audience questions now. Fun. Let's see if we have any. Perfect. Have you been to a sex party?
Oh, great question. No, I actually haven't, but I have friends that have. It sounds like it's every experience that I've ever heard is that it's like a great experience. It's very open. There's no pressure to join in if you don't want to, but most people do, and you probably will end up joining in. But just that's because of the vibe that's been created there. Yeah. So it sounds great.
But by joining in, I don't really understand the term of sex party. Is it like this mental thing where everyone's on top of each other, like getting it on? Or is it like you're just walking around naked? What's the vibe?
I think they're all different. It depends on like the rules of the sex party, but like generally speaking, you could have sex with each other in more of a like swinging sense. Yeah. Or you can observe, like so many people enjoy being voyeurs or exhibitionists.
What do these words mean?
A voyeur is where you enjoy watching people have sex. If you're an exhibitionist, you like putting on a show for people. So if you're into that, that's a great place to like let all of that out. Yeah. The closest to a sex party I've ever been is the Kit Kat Club in Berlin, which is more of like a sex positive club. Okay. So you have to give your phone away at the door, and then when you go in, kind of anything goes. So you can have there are people having sex. There's sex, drugs, rock and roll kind of thing, all in this space. Yeah. There's a pool in there. I saw some. Wow. I mean, it was an amazing night. In all fairness, it was such a good time, and it was such a great club. But yeah, never been to an actual sex party, but definitely it's not something I would like rule off.
Yeah, and do you know if there's a lot around? Is it easy access to go to a sex party? Sorry, not that. Can you tell me? I'm free next Wednesday.
Should we go? You've already invited me to your bed. So
I know.
There are. I believe there's quite a few.
And where is it? So you said about your card game.
Oh, I did.
Yes. Can we have an example of a question from your card game?
Oh, that's such a good question. Yeah. Okay, so we're currently still designing it.
Okay.
But the style of questions, so there'll be 3 different categories on intensity levels where the goal of it is to really open up conversation with each other and to ask those questions that you probably just won't ask. Yeah. But by default, you're then learning more about what your partner likes, what they want, but without doing the awkward thing of, have you done this in a past relationship? Because what you don't want is to sit down with your partner and have an argument from when you're meant to be getting horny. The goal is really for this to make you horny. Or to provoke compliments, for example. So, for example, a style of question could be, what's one thing I do that turns you on that you want me to do more of?
Yeah.
And then what you're actually allowing your partner to do is give you a massive compliment,
Yeah.
tell you something that you probably might not know about yourself, that builds your confidence. And there's just that connection there and the conversation there.
That's really, really good.
Yeah, and then there'll be challenges in there with things that you should do to each other, but nothing that's like, okay, now go and 69, come back and then pin each other to a wall, because it's so intense.
Yeah.
It breaks that erotic vibe. So it's all about building that anticipation, building an erotic vibe.
Yeah.
So yeah, really just opening that conversation with each other.
Yeah. And do you personally have a favourite sex position?
Ooh, a favourite sex position. I like being able. I'm going to sound like a real wet wipe here. I really like eye contact.
Yeah.
So I like being able to like really connect with like the person that I'm with.
Yeah.
So realistically, it's probably missionary. Although reverse cowgirl's good too.
Yeah. Always. Do you ever think that your own sex life suffer because the sex business is such a big part of your everyday lives?
Amazing question. It's actually been something that we've spoken to each other about, because we've become so numb to talking about sex.
Yeah.
But in all honesty, no, but only because we have this completely separate business persona. So we will be sat in Gales working, and we will have prostate massages, dildos, cock rings on our screen, and we're so numb to it. But we have mums sitting around having their coffees, or I've sat next to two vicars before, and I've been working on the website.
Yeah, not realising.
And I've realised that what I'm actually looking at is two vicars having a very lovely lunch over the prostate massages that I'm looking at, and I'm just thinking, is this a sin, God?
Yeah.
And then I was like, no, this isn't a sin. I'm empowered. This is great.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's not suffered. Or we'll go on walks and we'll be talking about the stock that we have, new products that are on the market, what we think the best products are for us to promote, the ones that we're most passionate about. But we're walking along talking so loudly about this big fat dildo, and we just don't hear ourselves.
Yeah. Everyone must think, what a crazy couple.
But again, in all honesty, what this business has allowed us to do is, because it's normalised the conversation, to reconnect again and to talk about all these things that we thought we knew everything about each other, and we were really proud of that, and we thought that we had. Well, we always prided ourselves on knowing what each other love, and it turns out that it was just the beginning. We've opened up so many new conversations. So if anything, I actually think it's really empowered us, and it's empowered our relationship by having this, and it should be something that every couple has, and especially for straight couples, because statistically, lesbian couples, they're just rocking it. They're so they're great because they talk to each other, and they really have open conversations, and therefore, so gay men and gay women statistically are sexually a lot more satisfied.
Really?
They orgasm more. They have more open communication. The least sexually satisfied group is heterosexual women.
Wow.
And then heterosexual men also tend to orgasm the most. So it's there's something off here, and it's all because of communication.
Yeah. Wow. And what's one piece of advice that you would give to every... Let me start again. What's one piece of advice you would give to anyone that's thinking about having sex, that's not sure what they're doing, that's going to have sex?
Have sex with yourself a lot. Have solo sex. I think that's the best way of learning about your body, is to explore it yourself, and there's no minimum age for you to do that. Whenever you're comfortable to do that, that's when explore your body, enjoy it, and then how is your partner meant to know what you like if you don't know what you like? So I think, don't be afraid to experiment. Try sex toys. Use your hands. Do what it is you need to. Read up on the industry, and listen to sex positive people as well. There's so many sex negative people on the internet. There's so many. So when you find something like Dirty Talk, engage with it, listen to it, follow it, listen to the conversations, because they're positive conversations surrounding sex, and that's what's needed. So I think surround yourself with knowledge and just continue to learn and explore your own body.
And can you remember the first time you realised what your vulva was?
No, because I don't remember ever not. So I actually think I've always been like aware. But I didn't really know what anything was. I just knew that it, this felt nice. This felt good. And then as I got older, I was like, oh, that's what that is. Okay. And that would have been when I was like a preteen. But again, I don't know if it was like this when you was at school, but like girls just never admitted to it. Like that was just not a thing, even though girls spoke about everything and like we loved each other, but you just never admitted to self-pleasure. That just was off the cards. Like guys could, but girls couldn't. It was seen as disgusting, which is just so far from the truth. And again, it's just such a myth. But I can't remember a specific age for because of that reason.
But for everyone else, they stay pleasured. Whatever. Stay pleasured. I was trying to think of this really inspirational quote and it just didn't come to me.
Stay hot, stay pleasured.
Exactly. And please, guys, go to ourguiltypleasures.co.uk to find your own sex toys. Because it's done by Sophie and her boyfriend, and it's pretty cool. So congratulations on that. It's insane. I bought you a mug for coming on the show. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and best of luck with everything. You're absolutely smashing it.
Thank you.
And I'm so proud, and I'm so pleased to be a part of it. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I loved it.
No worries. This is Sophie, everybody. If you would like to be a part of the show, please check out our website at www.dirtytalkofficial.com. We welcome all sexualities regardless of your sexual experience. If you would like to be an audience member only, please get in touch the same way. Like and subscribe on all social media platforms.